to make bread, take 1. So first you're going to want 380 grams of all-purpose flour. Go ahead and measure that out, put it in a bowl, make a little well in the center. Take 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt and put it on one side of the bowl. Take 1 packet of instant yeast, put it on the other side. Otherwise the salt will kill the yeast. Take a teaspoon of sugar and put it with the yeast for the yeast to eat the sugar and cause it to rise. And then you mix it all together because, you know, once you evenly disperse the yeast and the salt and the sugar together into the flour, it will...
I need sugar.
It's in there. Shoot,
Okay.
sorry. Forgot to put, oh wait, no, it's right here. There you go. So mix all the dry ingredients together. So then you want to take a sourdough pre-ferment. This is mine here. You can go to a bakery and just ask them for some of their pre-ferment. So starter is the way that they used to make bread when you couldn't buy packets of yeast. So starter was a way for the bread to rise. It's a mixture of flour and water, and you can go to a local bakery and ask them to give you some of their starter, and then you can begin to, you know, feed that starter and keep it as your own. But it's a mixture of flour and water that is imbued with the natural yeast in the air that causes bread to rise. It's pre-ferment. You're gonna want to take maybe a 1/4 cup of that. Put that into your water. So now we have, so 1/2 cup of water and a good 1/4 cup of sourdough pre-ferment. Just mix that together until all the dough is, or all the pre-ferment is evenly mixed into the water. Make a little well in the center of the flour and pour in the pre-ferment and the water. Now, I'm most likely going to need more water than this, but just mix it together with your hands. The flour will start to clump up. And so I definitely need more water here. So add a good another 1/2 cup of water. Just mix it together. You want it to all clump together into one big mass of dough to the point where all of the flour is hydrated and it's going to be very sticky. Add the rest of my water. If you add too much water, you can always go back and add a little more flour. Like here's a good example. That's too much water in there. It's very, very sticky. So just go in, add a good bit of flour.
How about this? Does this need more water?
Yeah, that needs more water. The dough is going to be sticky no matter what, but the Once you add enough flour, it will get like this, where it's a clump that you can just hold in your hand as you cook the dough. So now, try and fruitlessly take the dough off of your hand.
I can't recall his name too. Yeah. A complaint was made
So
from Heather's client, like my mom.
now so now we're gonna cover the dough with cling wrap after we've kneaded it together. So now we'll let this sit out on the counter for 10 minutes. Go do whatever, set the timer for 10 minutes, play a game of Mario Kart, doesn't matter. And then when you come back, you'll need to knead it for another cycle. Oh. So now the bread is ready to knead, so you'll take bread, dough, and you want a surface, like a clean, soft surface to knead it on. And then to make sure that the bread does not stick to the surface, you want to take flour and just put it all across your surface. And you'll also want to flour your hands if you don't want the dough to stick. You can also spray your hands with like cooking oil, like Pam, and that will also help it not stick.
I think the other guy might reach out to you if Mark's not.
So now you're going to want to take some more flour and put it across the top. And so you're going to want to knead it back and forth with the heel of your hand. Push it and then fold it and then push it again, and you want to keep doing that until it's much smoother and it's less sticky on the outside. And then it also shows some resistance when you try to push it. And if it starts getting sticky, then make sure that you keep your workspace heavily floured and your hands and the dough itself floured. But no matter how hard you try, the dough is going to stick to your hands, but it's easier if you have flour because it sticks just ever so slightly less.
Yeah, no, that's my bad. I thought we were using corporate. Do you know if Rustin uses that as well? Yeah, and who's that other fellow that Rustin plays with, over,
Okay, so now we're going to shape our loaves to go into the bread pans. So flour down your work surface. And the oven is still preheating, almost ready. So you want to take your dough, lay it out, and it's going to be much softer than it was before, and that's okay. So you want to lay it out, and then you want to take the top of the bread and pull it back and let it stick to the middle.
Hand me
on
a
the
scoop of
sides.
flour, please.
So then you're going to want to fold each, you want to fold each side of the bread into the middle. And then when you take the bottom, fold it all the way over. You should have created these little holes. It's a hole on the side that looks like this. So when that rises, it's going to go like this instead of spreading out. And if there's not, you can just take your fingers and poke it. But you don't want it to go all the way through the bread. So now that we've shaped it, we'll score it. So you take a nice sharp knife, and you can go do a pattern or whatever, but I just do a line down the center. You want to go deep enough to get through the top layer, just the top layer. You're going to see the bread kind of relax and open up a bit, and that's good. That's what you want. So now that we've scored it like this, you're going to put this into the preheated side. So the one that's been in the oven, you're going to put it into that, and then you're going to put the top over it. You're going to put the other bread pan on top of it, and then you're going to cook it in the oven with the bread pan, a second one on top, for 30 minutes. Then you're going to want to cook it for another 30 minutes without the other bread pan on top, so that way you can get a nice dark crust. So there is our oven ready. And again, the bread pans that are in the oven are very, very hot, so you want to make sure that you're very careful when using and grabbing these, because they will burn you and it hurts a lot. So you would place it in just like this, and then you would place a cover on top of it. Actually, let's get the in the oven first. So you're gonna want to place the bread pans back into the oven and place a cover on top of it. So we're gonna use this pan because we're making 2 loaves of bread. Just to cover the both of them. Place them in there for 30 minutes, and then you take the other bread pan off and cook it for another 30 minutes. Take it out, let it cool completely, slice it up and eat it with some jam or some butter, whatever. So our bread is done. We now have 2 beautiful loaves of bread. So the first thing you want to do is take these out of their pan and put them on a cooling rack so that they can, or just on a cutting board. And most of the time you want it to cool, but it's really hard to resist cutting open and eating hot, fresh bread. So let's get into it anyways. I'm gonna tell you, there's no better smell on the world than freshly baked bread. There you go. Okay, so make this bread and enjoy.